Lieutenant. You're gonna have to
I'm Petty Officer Jones. I'll give you your Pit 9 rundown. Now, the reason we cover this lesson is so everybody should know what's expected of them prior to combat these large class Bravo fires. Now, the way we'll go over this lesson is we're going to talk a little bit about the pit and the manning. Then we're going to go through the sequence of events that are going to take place from start to finish. We'll cover all of it. After that, we'll go over the safety precautions associated with Pit 9. Now, the class policies. Gloves on at all times while you're out here on the fire field. Long sleeve garments rolled down at all times. Also, once we start combating the fires, those of you with your rain gear, it's going to have to be up. Protect as much of your face as possible. All right? If you wish to ask or answer any questions, put your hands up in the air and let's talk about it now before we actually start lighting these fires up, and then we have a little bit of chaos going on out here, okay? So let's communicate now and get everything clarified. All right. Aircraft pit itself is 75 feet in diameter. In the center, you can see we got a reasonable facsimile of an aircraft in the middle. We're going to be using the secondary agent to combat these fires. That is water. Now, using water, how much reflash protection are we going to have?
0.
No reflash protection. Good answer. That means once you step inside this pit, you're going to have to rubberneck because we can't have a reflash using water. The outer deck rating is going to stay hot once you put the fire up. Now, with it still being hot and there's fuel in the area, you got to watch it. It could reflash on us. All right, we're going to be utilizing 3 hose teams to combat the fire and the cool ordnance. All right, number 1 and 2 hose team primary concern is going to be for what initially?
Extinguish the fire.
Extinguish the fire and to get a rescue path, right?
Right.
Now, your number 3 team is going to be utilized to cool down ordnance. We drill worst case scenario. That worst case scenario is involving ordnance on the deck. All right, that must be cooled at all times. Plain and simple, ordnance cooled at all times. All right, any questions on the manning or the pit? No! All right, let's talk about the sequence of events. After I give you the rundown, we're going to group you up in the back over there. We're going to make a few signals over to the tower. Now, they're going to light us that large class Bravo fire. Once it's large enough to combat, instructor's going to walk up to the team's HCO and give them a little scenario. Here's an example. HCO, helo crash on deck, 2 souls, hot ordnance involved. At this time, HCO is going to relay the message to the on-scene leader. Now it's in the on-scene leader's hands to get the team motivated and man up the hoses properly on the outboard side. This has to take place very rapidly. All right? Once you get the hoses manned up, you got to take a look at them. Plugman, don't energize the plug until you see that the hoses are stretched out. With all those little kinks in them, it's going to create a problem if you do. You'll either have a ruptured hose or you're going to reduce the flow of water and you're not going to be able to utilize that water for anything. All right? On scene leader, when they man up, take a look over there. Make sure number 3 is cooling down the ordnance. Make sure they have water coming out. And also, it's important to remember this. Not only that you got agent coming out of your nozzle, but that the agent is adequately cooling down the weapon. It doesn't do any good if you're John Wayne in water toward the weapon, but you're not hitting it. So you got to utilize that effectively. All right, you look over now, we're cooling the ordnance down effectively. From a distance back, your number 1 and 2 hose team are going to be testing their agent and using that water to do something. Again, solid stream rainbow effect so that they can reach the fire. It doesn't do any good to wash down the deck in front of you when you got flaming orange stuff in front of you, okay? All right, your number 1 and 2 hose team will be told to move in. They're concerned getting that rescue path. As you move them up, make sure you open your patterns up, hose team leaders. You don't want a solid streaming at the base of the fire. Move your hose teams up. Now, a rescue path is established once all the flames in the front part of the aircraft pit are pushed after the aircraft. That means, on scene leader, if you got fire in the deck rating anywhere in the front part of the aircraft pit, it is not a safe rescue path. So do not affect that rescue. All right, let's just say hose teams 1 and 2 did what they were expected to do. We got a rescue path now. Call for your hot suitman. Hot suitman, we're going to simulate a rescue being complete. When I say simulate, that just means we will fake a rescue being completed. All you got to do is come up to your on-scene leader. On-scene leader, rescue's complete, 2 souls recovered. However many souls we told you at the beginning of the scenario. He'll tell you, good job, you'll fall to the back. Now your number 1 and 2 host team have to extinguish the fire. That's why you got your boots on. You're going to enter the pit. 1 host team down the left side, 1 host team down the right side of the aircraft. This is where you have to rubberneck. Make sure no flames are burning in the deck rating, and we advance too far, all of a sudden we got a reflash behind us. Put the fire out as we advance. You gotta sweep those nozzles and make sure no fire comes back on you. All right, now once you move your hose teams in, they're gonna move all the way to the far end of the deck rating, all right, the end of the pit. That's where the fire, if you remember, is gonna be a little stubborn. It's gonna be hard to extinguish. You got that fire in the deck rating, and if you keep sweeping at the base of the flame, all you'll do is splash fuel all up on top of it and feed the fire. The easiest way and recommended way of extinguishing that fire in the deck rating here is to open their patterns up a little bit, elevate them just above the deck rating, and let it rain down inside. That's the best way of putting it out. Once the on-scene leader does not see any fire from out here, hose team leaders, elevate your nozzles will be your next command. Then you got to check for fire. One of two reports we're going to get. Where's the #1 hose team leader? What's one of two reports you're going to give?
I'm going to tell him fire's out on the right.
All right, fire's out on the right, or still have fire on the right,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not appears to be out. We need to know if the fire's out or not. Now, once the fire is out on the left and the right, the next command will be water off. All right, then it's prepare to back out. Then back it out slowly at the nozzleman's pace, keeping your eyes forward. Now, with your eyes forward, it might create a little problem when you come up on this deck rating. There's about a 6-inch deck rating lip. The man outside of the pit has to communicate to the man coming up on the deck rating. It's a very simple command. Tell him to step up when he has to step up. That way nobody falls inside the pit. On scene leader, you're going to back your #1 and 2 hose team out of the pit until they're off the deck rating here. Then you're going to hold them up. All right? Now, your next sequence of events to take place after that is your #3 team. They've been doing what the whole time? Cooling the ordnance, right? How long must they cool the ordnance after the fire is extinguished? 15 minutes after the fire is extinguished. We'll simulate 15 minutes being complete at this time. #3 cooling team, 15 minutes is simulated. Stand up, water off. Back out and restow. Tell them to get out of the picture. Have them restow. You no longer need them. Now with your 2 assets still available, your #1 and 2 hose team, you're going to call for overhaul personnel. Right, hot suitman, come on up, give them a little scenario. Think of one now. Simulated overhaul being complete. On-scene leader, no residual fires, no additional casualties, aircraft is destroyed. All right? He'll tell you, good job, you'll fall to the back again. On-scene leader has to relay that overhaul report to the HCO, including a recommendation. Now, let's just say the aircraft's destroyed. You're going to recommend jettison the aircraft, right? All right, on-scene leader to the HCO. Be a simple report. Recommend we jettison the aircraft, HCO. Who has final approval?
CO.
The CO of the ship. So he's going to simulate talking on the phone with the commanding officer, and we get permission to jettison the aircraft. Now, once you get permission to jettison the aircraft, you can set a reflash watch. You no longer need both of them there. You can back out and restow one of the teams. Delegate one team as reflash. Include now the estimated time of a ready deck. How long it's going to take for us to jettison the aircraft and get it cleared. HCO, reflash watches set, estimated time ready deck, 2 hours. All right? It's going to take us that long. Let's just say 2 hours has elapsed at this time right now. Aircraft has been jettisoned. Now what are you going to do?
Fog walk down.
Before fog walk down, somebody's been bending their knees for 2 hours long and they want it back out. There you go. Get your reflash, stand up, back out and restow them. You no longer need them there. Now we'll have a FOD walk down. Once the FOD walk down is complete, on-scene leader will recommend we got a green deck to the HCO. HCO will come back and say, okay, we got a green deck. Any questions on the sequence of events?
No!
All right, briefly, I'm going to cover some problem areas. #1 is host team leaders. You got to repeat all the commands given by your on-scene leader. Now, that doesn't mean if he tells you to do something unsafe, that doesn't tell you to go ahead and do it. Let him know what he's telling you to do is unsafe, and then communicate with him. But if he's telling you to move in and it's safe to move in, you're screaming move in. All right? As you're approaching a fire, hose teams, you got to utilize a crisscrossing effect with your water. Otherwise, the fire in the middle here is not going to be extinguished. So get your patterns crossing each other. Enough directional force has to be used to push through the flames so that you can keep pushing it back. All right? So you tighten your patterns up so you can push all the way through the flames and get that fire pushed back. You can't always sweep at the base because you're not going to push the fire back all the time. You got to have enough to push through it, okay? So that's going to be another important problem area. Any questions on those little areas I just covered?
No!
All right, safety precautions. Inside the pit, no solid stream. If you use it, you can erupt the fuel oil and spread it on another host team. Also, that aircraft is made out of metal. Don't squirt it with your water. Otherwise, you're going to create steam, and you might steam burn your other host team. It's the fuel oil that's around the aircraft that will be on fire. If you get burned or have any problems at all, make sure you talk to the instructors. We need to know if you get hurt in any way, shape, or form. When you back out, your eyes are forward, correct?
Right.
Remember what I said, man outside the pit, talk to the man coming up on the deck rating. If you fall inside the pit, get up as quickly as possible. Now, if you're on fire, stand fast, we'll scorch you down. If you're not on fire, we're still gonna scorch you down and get some of that fuel oil off of your body, all right? Listen and obey all the commands given by the Red Hat instructors. If we have to take over for any reason at all, there's no argument about it. We just take over and listen and obey the commands that we give for safety reasons. Also, the training timeout. It was covered this morning, but I'm gonna go over it again. If you're apprehensive about your personal safety or that of another student, a training timeout can be affected. Now, a training timeout is affected by a student raising his hand over the head, and that's signifying that to the instructors, hey, he's unsafe about something. If at all possible, we'll match your signal, which means we can affect the training timeout and go ahead and talk to the team about the problem, all right? Now, if we're inside this pit and you get apprehensive or scared and you raise your hand, we cannot stop the training. We have to put the fire out because we got 20 other students that are still inside this pit. So you'll see the instructors give you this signal right here. Now, it doesn't mean we won't talk about it. After we put the fire out, we'll get together and we'll discuss the problem. Now, after that, if you refuse to go back to training, then you're sent back to your command for administrative processing. All right? It's not a DOR course. It's just specifically designed that if there is a problem, if at all possible, we talk about it before it gets any worse. Okay? Any questions on the safeties?
No!
All right, what we need now is for you to man up, group yourselves up between that building and the host. Group yourselves up, and when we're ready to go, we'll call you out here. Put some of that fire back there, otherwise we're going to burn it up.
Hold on!
Let it rain in the rain.
Hold on! Move up on it! Move up! Move up on it! Move it up! Get right behind it, bro! Move it up! Get up here! Right, step right! Right, step right! All right. Move it up! Move up! Up on good! Let go one! Let go one! Hold on! Hold on! Move it! Move it! Hit that nozzle inside your face right there. Hit that little nozzle. Right, Piano! Move it! Move it! Keep the patterns open up.